One Southern Indiana is pleased to be offering this opportunity to get to know one of our elected officials and how the COVID-19 pandemic is affecting city operations. And today we're talking to Mayor Jeff Gahan with the City of New Albany. Jeff has been mayor of New Albany going on into his third term. And Mayor, how are you doing? I know you never expected anything like this to come along.
Yeah, you're right. But I think I'm in pretty good company because most people didn't see this coming, right? Most companies, most individuals, most government entities. But having said that, I'm doing as well as, I think I possibly can be. New Albany's doing everything we know how to do to slow the spread. And I think we're seeing a lot of cooperation from people and schools and companies and, again, local government officials. I think we're all in this together and we're all working together. So I don't have any complaints given the circumstances.
Well, you've definitely been out in front on this, and we appreciate your leadership. What's been the most difficult part of keeping people safe during this time?
It's funny, we took a little time setting up this Zoom meeting, and it's all about communicating and messaging. And it is very difficult to get the message out to everyone about how important it is that we work together to slow the spread. And there's a handful of things we keep repeating, and it's coming from the national level, it's coming from the CDC, it's coming from the governor's office, it's coming from local officials and businesses. But it's really important that we do those basic things to keep our citizens safe. So that's the hardest thing, getting the word out. We need to take care of ourselves and protect our health.
That has definitely been the primary purpose for what we're going through the last 4 weeks. So we are 4 weeks into it, and if we look at some of the economic impact, of course, our businesses have been affected. They've also been very responsive to trying to help one another and help individuals as well. The City of New Albany has taken a lead in helping out some of our businesses that are impacted by this. Can you talk about some of the programs that the city has either participated with or collaborated with?
Well, yes, certainly. One of the first things that we had to do was to make sure that our ducks were in a row, right? So we took steps to close the parks right off the bat. We took steps to make sure that we limited the number of employees that were at work. So we reduced scheduling, and we went into shifts and rotations to keep the operation going, but we reduced people that were close together. We immediately enforced the social distancing, made sure everyone was doing everything they could do to cover their face and make sure they washed their hands, all that. So again, that messaging piece, we were pretty good about getting that out pretty quickly. And we had pretty good response. If you'll see our numbers compared to other places in the state, we seem to have gotten a jump on that. It could be a lot worse in Floyd County in a metro area. It could be a lot worse. So overall, pretty good effort. But we called the city council together quickly. We convened in a special meeting, and we proceeded to pass a handful of legislative initiatives to put money into play, to put resources into play. And I want to thank 1SI. You guys did a super job administrating that and getting that money to people and businesses that were in need. I thought that went very well, Wendy. The need was immediate. The response was pretty fast, and the distribution of funds, as far as I can tell, was excellent. And so I know we're working on additional methods to get money out to people and to businesses, as well as some folks that aren't businesses, some nonprofits, and as well as some individuals that are dealing with rent and mortgages and that sort of things. So that was the first thing we did. We also had a kind of a customized response where we partnered with DNA, and that's downtown New Albany, or Develop New Albany, and they worked with the downtown restaurants to give some relief to the food service workers who immediately felt the COVID-19 pinch. So they were the restaurants were closed. They had no, suddenly they were without income. So we worked, our economic development director and our corporate counsel and our controller came together and put together a pretty good plan that got signs out in front of all the businesses. Mm-hmm. So they kind of converted them to drive up. And some of the proceeds of that whole program helped to feed and provide lunches for the service workers in the food industry. So that was the immediate response, and I thought it went well too. A lot of help from outside agencies that kind of came together quickly, and local government acted quickly. So that was our initial reaction to it.
Well, and I think the programs and the city's response were very well received, and we are greatly appreciative of that. Let's talk a little bit about businesses in general. You're a former businessman before you entered into the mayor's office. What advice would you have for businesses that are looking to come out of this on the backside stronger than before?
I can't overstate the need for people to remember that the economy is very much connected to an individual's health. So, so I see different approaches. People are trying to separate the economic crisis from the health crisis, and they're really, really one issue. And that might be obvious to a lot of people, but there's a whole lot of fear with people right now with this. And I think it's everyone's job to make sure that we're doing everything we can do to minimize the fear that people have about it. And the way we do that is be very clear about, what we're doing to stop the spread. Mm-hmm. And they're real basic. They're really basic. And with some really basic tools, I think we can alleviate a lot of the fear that people have. If we're waiting on testing to come down to all the levels, I think we're going to be waiting a long time. Mm-hmm. That's very important. It's very important, but there's some things that we can do with some basic tools. And I'll say it's just hand sanitation, soap and water, it's keeping distance from folks. We have when we may talk about that a little later, but making sure that people are aware of their body temperature. I mean, that's going to be a great tool for when people come back to work, that we have a way to measure their body temperature. So it'd be a diagnostic tool other than a test to determine whether people are experiencing some symptoms they may not be aware of them. Disinfect your work area. Those are really important steps that we can take to reduce the fear that employees have, to make them ready to come back to work. Because I think people are ready to come back to work, but they're also afraid, and they're also concerned about their health, as they should be. So, so the employer's responsibility is going to have to be, hey, we're concerned about your health too.
And I recognize that the governor has a lot of say on the releasing the stay-at-home order. There are also some local experts from the health departments and others. You, as city leader, are going to be relying on a group of folks that are going to give you some advice. Who do you look to in times like this?
Well, right now we're operating under the governor's stay-at-home order, governor of Indiana's, and we're also in the Louisville metro area, so we hear a lot of what's going on in Kentucky, right? So where we're positioned, we're in the Louisville market, but we're part of the state of Indiana. So I do know the governors are working together. Both Beshear and Holcomb are working together. So I expect in the next week or so, we'll be getting some direction on how we're going to deal with Southern Indiana, how we're going to, as a group, working together, reopen. Mm-hmm. And so I'll be taking my cues from those people that are really trying to coordinate it at the state level. I'll also be looking at the county too. The county has got some healthcare professionals. We'll be listening to those folks too. Good. And anyway, I think right now the communication has been pretty good all the way around. So
I've been pleased how both the city county, but also the counties in general have been really focused on public health, and I think that's our most important priority. Talk about some of the work or some of the problems that you've heard about from folks, either from the healthcare side or even businesses. I know we've shared the need for, or the discussion about enough PPE products available to not only the healthcare workers and the frontline responders, but even to businesses that are trying to open. You've personally been engaged in some of those discussions. What have you found through that process?
Okay, what I have found is on any given day, particular groups are looking for some type of PPE, right? Whether it be a face shield or a mask or hand sanitation or gowns, and that varies from industry to industry. And so the demand is we have a demand, but it looks like we're plugging the holes. Looks like, you know, as that need pops up, yeah, we're getting some masks there, or we may get some hand sanitizer, or the gowns are coming. So there is this supply chain. It is working. It's not, you know, spot on. There may be some small gaps in it, but I do see the product getting where it needs to go, which I think that's really very promising. But as we reopen, there's going to be a larger demand on that PPE.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So I don't know. That's what I'm concerned about. Like when we reopen, you know, it's our hope that everyone has a mask, everyone has gloves, everyone has the ability to protect themselves, and so that's we're stocking up to make sure when the employees come back that they have these PPE. So you'll see the chain of supply, or the supply chain, will be stressed as we reopen, right?
Yes.
And I think everybody's doing what they can to prepare for that. But again, it's our goal to make sure that our employees are prepared, and I think that's kind of the message it should be for everyone. Let's make sure that the employees are prepared.
And I love that message, because reopening is really going to be a phase of its own. What's after reopening, that long-term economic recovery? What do you see as the city's long-term economic strategy?
The long-term economic strategy for New Albany is going to be very similar to what the rest of the country looks like, right? Which, you know, we're part of a metro. We're experiencing this COVID-19 a lot like Metro Louisville, but not so much like rural Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the recovery is going to be, like you said, in stages. You know, we'll have certain industries that may come back quicker than others, and the ones that I'm concerned about right now are the ones that we really miss the most. May be the ones that take the longest to recover. You know,
I agree.
The ones where we want to be, with people. Those are where the precautions are going to have to be most intense. And so, you know, but we have to be patient. We're going to have to be patient. And I think the key is what you're trying to do, what I'm trying to do is we're trying to get the resources as fast as we can to those in need, those businesses that need it. So as we go through this, there's enough cash on hand, enough resources for these small businesses to survive this period of time, right?
Agreed.
And that's what our efforts have been. That's what it's going to be. And I think keeping a good attitude, be patient, but protect your health. I think those are key to the recovery.
So let me talk a little bit about you and your leadership. What have you learned about being a leader in the last 30 days that perhaps you didn't know before, or maybe that you wished you had known before?
What I've learned is this health and the economy are really, really tight. I mean, it's a really tight-knit relationship. And they are so connected that we have to be talking about health, and we have to talk about the economy in the same sentence. I mean, it is one issue. They're not separate. If you have a healthy workforce, if you've got strong people working, you've got better business, better economy, and just a better region, better country, better world. And I think I've always kind of related them together, but let's face it, this thing came out of nowhere, and we have a lot of sick people, and because we have a lot of sick people, we have a lot of sick businesses, right? So
that's true.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of business owners think about that in the health of their workforce and how it affects their bottom line. I don't know that we've always recognized how much it does play into the overall health of our economy as well. Great point. We've got time for one final question, Mayor, and this is more that futuristic look. How do you think the city of New Albany will be different once this pandemic is over?
Yeah, we don't really know the time frame, and I don't even know how we're going to measure when it's over, right? The state has got some guidelines if we've gone 14 days in a row and it's gone down. So I think that's going to be a good indicator. But how's it going to look when it's over? Is that what you said? How's it going to look?
Yeah, what's different in the city?
We're going to be a lot smarter, right? We're going to be a whole lot smarter about, how you handle health issues. And we're going to be a lot more on our game when it comes to protecting our own health, and that's where we're going to be. We're being a lot smarter, and I feel like we're going to get through this. I've always said that from the very get-go. I'm confident that we're going to get through this. Construction is still going on. I don't know if you know this. There's a lot of construction going on. When you ride down the street, you don't see many people in cars. You don't see people in restaurants, but behind the curtain, there's still a lot of economic activity going on, and most people I know want to get back to work. But when we come back to work, we want to be safer, and we're going to be healthier because of it.
Well, Mayor, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for not only being a great partner with One Southern Indiana, but also for providing some common sense conversation during a time of crisis. And I appreciate you very much for that. Any final words that you'd like to add?
I just want to thank you guys. Thanks a lot. I mean, I appreciate it very much. You guys are doing a super job, and we're going to get through this, right?
We'll get through this, and then we'll be better on the backside because of it. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Mayor Jeff Gahan, City of New Albany, we thank you for your time and your information, and we'll look to see you next week.